Good evening. It is November 2nd and 6 p.m. This is the Planning and Zoning Board. Mr. Chairman, we are live on YouTube.
Okay, welcome to Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022, 6 p.m. We'd like a roll call. Edmund Blank. Here. Mark Allen.
Here.
Hank Zager.
Here.
Okay, I'd like to add that the rest of the board members are out. We do have a point. One content, Chairman, I'm here. All right, I'd like to go for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you are going to give testimony, please stand up.
We're mixing it up.
Just to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So do we have additions, deletions, reordering, and approval of the agenda?
Staff does not.
Okay, anybody else on the board? Okay, so would we approve the agenda as is?
Move to approve the agenda as is.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. Agenda is approved. So the approval of the minutes, October 19th, 2022, regular meeting minutes. The cases, can we now swear in the staff and the applicants if you are going to testify?
Can we have a motion on the minutes first, please?
October 19th.
Jen-
2022.
Gentlemen, make sure you're turning your mics on when you're.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting minutes approved.
Make sure the green light is on.
So the swearing in of the applicant. If you're going to speak, please stand up. You swear to tell the truth and nothing.
Sherry has to do that.
If you plan to give testimony this evening, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Proof of publication, does everybody have their publication all in line? I'm sure these didn't really need much publication, but
They don't require specific publication of the general meeting notice.
okay. Any withdrawals and postponements? Okay, so consent, anything on consent?
Nope.
Neither. Okay, board disclosure, I would be the first person to disclose that I'm the architect for Kana restaurant. And I've had dealings with them from the beginning. And I will, I guess, I will vote on this one. So that's my state.
You know, Wes, many times here. That we haven't talked about anything. Cars.
Okay, so the unfinished business, any unfinished business? I don't really see any on the agenda. Were we good from last time?
No.
No unfinished business, Mr. Chairman. We are ready for agenda item A whenever you are.
Okay. New business, item A, which is PZB project number 2200000018. Request by Edward Jones for previously installed mural at 1032 North Dixie Highway. The subject site is zoned mixed use, Dixie Highway, MUHD, and has a future land use designation of mixed use east, MU-E. Would the staff have a?
We do. All right.
Good evening. For the record, it's Rosie Escobar with Planning, Zoning, and Historic Preservation. The item before you is the approval of a previously installed mural on the south facade of the existing structure at 1032 North Dixie Highway. The subject site is located at the southeast corner of 11th Avenue North and North Dixie Highway, and it's within the mixed-use Dixie Highway zoning district. The existing use is a photography studio. The mural is composed of graduates throwing their caps facing Bryant Park. And as mentioned, the mural has been previously installed and is requesting for an after-the-fact approval. The project is consisting with a comprehensive plan, strategic plan, and the city LDRs inclusive of chapter 23-5-1, which provides the standards and requirements. Therefore, staff is recommending approval with conditions.
Thank you.
And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie.
Could anybody let me know what the conditions might be?
The conditions are standard mural conditions and they relate to
Upkeep.
a permit and a mural removal agreement. So even though it's already installed, we still require the permit because the permit is how we record, is how we receive and file the standard recorded mural removal agreement.
I know that particular project was under a lot of stress to open up, and I know they were really trying to open up, I guess, for their business season or something, so.
Yeah, we always obviously want people to come in before they install their murals. As a special incentive in our fee schedule, a mural, if you come in before you install it, is, I believe, $150 application fee. If you come in after you've installed it, that application fee goes up to $500. So.
Okay,
Yes,
so we saw the mural. Can we see it again,
Sure.
please? I saw it today, actually. There it is. Pretty lifelike. So, a motion?
I move to approve PZB project number 22-00000018 for a mural installation for the structure located at 1032 North Dixie Highway. The application meets the mural criteria based on the data and analysis in the staff report.
Okay, for a second.
Sure, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved. Moving along to item B. PZB project number 22-000020, request by Joseph Lavalle for the approval of a previously installed mural with two components located in west and the south faces of the building, 604 Lake Avenue. Subject site is zoned downtown DT and has a future land use of downtown mixed use DMU. The subject site is also within the Community Redevelopment Agency, the CRA. Pretty central place to be, so.
Just a reminder, Mr. Chairman, you cannot vote on this item, so you'll file your disclosure, but we can still continue because we do have a quorum. I confirmed that with the attorney. And so as you stated, this is a request for to approve a previously installed mural. It has two components, one on the west and south faces of the building located at 604 Lake Ave. You can see the building location. It is a little bit west of the northwest corner of North L Street and Lake Avenue. This is the proposed location of the Kana Bar and Grill, which looks like it's going to be opening very soon. They're doing a nice renovation there. You can see now this mural is actually interior, and we actually don't consider that a mural. This was almost a painted inside because it is within the interior, but the mural here is really on the south and west facades is in this a sepia tone here. But just for your reference, this was installed on the porch that's kind of like it's an open porch, but this was part of the interior building. You can see all of the pictures. The decorative paint detail was approved as part of the site plan approval, and then the sign is coming in under separate signage permit. The artist is Eduardo Mendieta, and has a history of murals and curating projects in West Palm throughout South Florida. Again, this mural is consistent with comp plan, strategic plan, community appearance criteria, and the subset or the specific section related to murals. And the LDR staff is recommending approval of this mural. The conditions are outlined on page 3, and you can see they're here. Basically, you can't alter the building. You have to apply for a permit with the mural removal agreement and with the documents here that reflect the approval. Here's the potential motions, and we're here if you have any questions.
Your motion?
I move to approve PZB project number 22-00000001 mural installation for the structure located at 604 Lake Ave. The application meets the mural criteria based on the data and analysis of the staff report.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And that was with conditions, correct?
With the
With
condition.
conditions.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Rella, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much. You got it. Item C. Request by Rodney Mayo for installation of a new mural installation at 522 Lucerne Avenue.
Sorry, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just going back, I want to make sure that Sherry has it on the record that on that last vote you abstained.
Yes, yes, I said it.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chair. As you stated, this is for a new mural installation at 522 Lucerne Avenue. This was the former location of CWS, and I believe the restaurateur is what we've heard, who owns Dada and Del Rey is taking this on. And you can see the location here. Here is the proposed mural. It's the west facade of the building, and that is facing North L Street. And it features kind of an abstract monochromatic motif, which is comprised of images that were originally painted by, oh, that was not the right, she's the artist. It was painted by the artist, originally painted by the artist Man Ray. The artist painting the mural is Nardia. This is what the mural would look like as painted by the artist. And these were abstracts from the art of Man Ray. And so it was different paintings from that artist, kind of in this abstract motif, with a quote from the original artist painted by the muralist. You can see here's the existing facade. This is the muralist. Again, this is consistent with the comp plan, strategic plan, and as well as the specific requirements for murals in the LDRs. Staff is recommending approval. And it has the standard conditions, mural conditions. So if you'd like, I can go back to the mural. And Man Ray is a well-known famous artist. And then so this is like the cafe, I think, is going to be featuring their art or this type of art.
It's facing west, right?
On North L Street. So one of the mural criteria that can't face a major thoroughfare. So you can see in the downtown, unless it's otherwise specifically approved by you all, there all the murals will be facing the side streets unless it's expressly approved. And that's why in the previous approval, if you had in the staff report, it talked about the fact that that component of the mural needed to be approved by this board, where the component that faced Lake Avenue. So, but most of the murals face the side streets.
I have a question. If somebody wants to, if the mural gets done and somebody wants to remove a mural, do they need any sort of permission at all, or they can just paint it over?
They can paint it. We don't regulate paint. So that would be up to the property owner to repaint the building. If the mural is deteriorated, there is a mural removal agreement, which has to be recorded and submitted to the city. And so if it is deteriorated, we can require the mural be removed and painted over.
Is there any idea of what the front would look like? Have you done anything on signage or?
No, we haven't received anything yet. So this is what we've received so far. So we think they want to get started on that. And, I should have looked, but I didn't have a chance to. We have so much going on right now, but I know that if they're not in for permits, they're going to be in soon for interior renovation, where we've been hearing. So I'm sure they want to get started and get open.
Okay.
Good to see somebody's taking that place.
It's been vacant for a while since, yeah.
A
So,
little fire or something.
yeah.
Okay, I'll do this one. I move to approve PZB project number 22-000014 for a mural installation for the structure located at 522 Lucerne Avenue.
Or a second?
Yeah,
We're
with,
missing 1 0 and then you did the,
Oh,
sure, when we do this, we need to say.
really?
With condition. Is
Yeah.
that with conditions?
With the conditions as stated in the staff report.
A second. Second.
third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right. So just give me a second. Mr. Chairman, if you want to go ahead and read the next item while I'll open up the.
These guys look like the guilty guys advertising. Okay. Item D. PZB project 22-00-00-0011. A request by Mr. Wes Blackman on behalf of Matthews Brewing LLC for the approval of a mural installation with 2 proposed new murals and a previously installed mural on the west facade subject building located at 130 South H Street. The subject site is zoned artisanal industrial AI and has a future land use designation of artisanal mixed use AMU. The subject site is also within the community redevelopment district. All right. Okay.
So I think everybody kind of knows where Matthews is, right? And they were one of our earlier businesses in our artisanal industrial district. So their location is in the northeast corner of 2nd Avenue South and South H Street. So there was a previously installed mural. The applicant is tidying up some code violations. And so one of them is they had the previously installed mural. This approval is we're going to be asking you guys to flex your muscles a little bit more on this one than in the other ones, because this does have some commercial messaging that is integrated. And we'll talk more about that, as well as 2 new proposed murals. The proposed murals will be placed next to the existing murals on the same facade. The applicant is requesting approval of all 3 murals as part of this application. And the painted signage on the building will require a separate building permit. So you can see here's the existing site. And then the existing mural in question is this one. It says where craft beer meets rock and roll, live music venue and craft brewery. Again, you can see the existing mural and the 2 proposed mural. One of them is a tree featuring the Royal Poinciana neighborhood, and then a Lake Worth Beach one. So one of the standards in LDR 235-1E13 is that murals may coexist with all types of on-premises signs. However, printed commercial messages are included in a mural. The entire mural shall be considered as part of the overall allowable signage permitted by code. So in that sense, the mural becomes a sign if it's part of the mural. So as staff, our conditions of approval, we recommended option 1. After the publication of the report, I had a subsequent conversation with the business owner's representative, Mr. Blackman. And we discussed option 2 as a second recommended option. They would prefer to retain all the words and remove the skeleton hand and the lightning bolt to separate it out. But basically, they're going to exceed their maximum signage if they treat the entire mural as a sign. So kind of what you're going to be discussing is how many words can they have in pictures before the mural becomes a sign and is then not subject to your purview and would be required to be permitted by staff as part of a sign permit. So again, this is in your current conditions of approval. We had discussed this with the applicant's representative, Mr. Blackman, as a second recommended option to provide kind of a distinct, and you can see the option 1 removes all the words, and then option 2 remove some of the words and the additional graphics. Here's the existing mural with the proposed murals superimposed on the side of the facade. Here is option 1. And here is option 2. The artist is Marcus Borges. He has done some murals, especially in Fat Village, but you heard is, depending on your feelings on it, is unfortunately or fortunately going to be redeveloped. They have something in Fort Lauderdale, which is kind of a cool industrial vibe there. Here's the renderings as proposed by the applicant. So again, the request overall is consistent with the comp plan, strategic plan, and the mural LDR mural requirements, provided that there's some additional separation or elimination of the text from the drummer mural. Staff is recommending of the murals as conditioned. And if you have any questions or you'd like to see anything else, Mr. Blackman also has a presentation as well.
Would you like to speak, Mr. Black? Sure.
Wes, just give me a quick second because I have to.
Okay. Good evening, Planning and Zoning Board. I'm Wes Blackmus with CWB Associates, and I'm representing Matthews Brewery LLC, and this is David Matthews, the owner of Matthews Brewery. And we do have a presentation just to walk you through and kind of orient you with the area. I know you're familiar with it, but it is going through a transformation, and it's set to go through a transformation based on the changes to the zoning code and the future land use element of the comprehensive plan that were made a few years ago.
Wes is just going to, I'm sorry.
I'll vamp a little more. I'm a certified urban planner, and I've been in your spot before on the Historic Preservation Board and on P&Z. Many of you know me, and I'll be bringing more things to you because I'm very busy recently. So I'm earning my frequent flyer miles this year. The meeting is going faster than we anticipated.
We were hoping it was going to go this way. Okay.
I'll say too, I'm just happened to be president of the Palm Beach County Planning Congress this year, and we took a bright line trip to Wynwood and toured that area in Miami, which is not far from Fat Village, that area, or generally speaking. And that is filled with murals. And the feel and the vibe is sort of like this area. It's like this area, what it could be if it grew up and really became something.
I'm building.
Are you? It's really on fire, a lot of projects.
What people do.
Really?
Okay, Wes, go ahead.
Here it is. Okay. We just wanted to walk back in time a little bit. This is a historic property. This is 130 South H Street, and it's the former home of the Lake Worth Herald. Many of you know it is our weekly paper, and they moved out, sold the building, and David Matthews bought it in 2016. That's how it looked as the forward picture. And There's the back side of it, which is the east side off the alley. And that is completely changed now. We don't have a current picture of that, but that's not the subject of the application. And this is the south wall of the building. And there is consideration in the future to do murals along the south wall. But the road improvements have to come along too, and the sidewalk improvements and so forth. And so you might be seeing that in the future. Next. This is just the wording, and I'm not going to bore you with reading it, but it's this was just an industrial area, and it was what it looks like today, pretty much, with the exception of Matthews Brewery. And that is a lot of car body shops and repair places. And on any day of the week, night of the week, you can go there and see cars that are half assembled or disassembled, waiting for repair in some state. And it still really has to take hold and transform. But the vision is that it be an arts and entertainment district and be a little different than our downtown, and associated with the railroad tracks and Bohemian, and now there's a public parking garage there. So the seeds are planted for a different sort of environment. And David's leading the way. He's kind of the tip of the spear here. So this is current conditions, just a montage of what is typically going on in the area, and a lot of not too appealing vistas there of cars in front of businesses. Next. This is the building, how it looks today, and that was in the staff report. And the panel in the center, just right of the door, south of the door, is the one in question. And that was around since 2020, since COVID. And it was done to employ people, number one. And number two, it was done to attract business. And people have used it as a selfie backdrop, the drummer, and it really, Matthews is a destination for families and dogs, and just not your usual bar crowd. It really is an amazing place, and you can see where the beer is made too through the glass. So next. This was just my attempt at showing the lot area. The building is about half the lot width. So I think that's important just to note that it is a 100-foot wide lot, and the building is about half that. And the next page was my attempt to make a point, which didn't go too far, but anyway, we'll go by that. Again, this is the existing condition next. And this is the mural that is there. There is a lightning bolt in a hand that we'd like to keep. And basically, we're presenting this to you and asking for the entire thing. This is not something that was done with knowing it was not permitted or anything. It was done and just caught later on after it had already been up for about 2 years. So next. And these are the two panels that we're proposing because of the interactive nature of the existing mural. David wanted to encourage that sort of activity. So with the future panels, if you go to the next slide. Here you can see the aerial view, and that's also a good indication of the before. You can see the area north of the building now is where the live entertainment is, and it's a completely different environment than the hellscape that looks like there. And you can also see the parking lot to the south there. But this is an impression of the murals in place on the what we're calling the north mural and the south mural. The north one is a swing with a tree and butterfly, and that this is part of the Royal Poinciana neighborhood, and that celebrates that. And then the panel on the right, the south mural, also mentions Lickworth Beach, and it's a good selfie backdrop and so forth. Next. And these have to be scaled renderings, so we wanted to throw in dimensions there. Next. And here's just a little bit more of the detail of the existing. And then the middle and then the southern mural. So this is Marcus Borges. He is a celebrated muralist. And this is actually the largest collection of his work outside of, well, I guess in the 3-county area. So these are just some of the murals that are inside the brewery. And David is here, so I'll ask if he has anything else to add, and then we're here to ask any questions, to answer questions.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that our intent was for it to be a mural, not for a mural and give a message as a sign. So it was always going to be a mural, and we still think of it as being a mural.
Okay. Anything on the board?
So what are our choices?
So your choices are, because it does have a commercial component of messaging, is to determine how much separation is from the text that's going to be considered signage, and from the actual picture that's considered mural. So if you're here, I'll show with my presentation. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. I didn't mean to close that. So you can see here, let me just share it so we can make sure the people at home can see it. All right. So this is, the applicant is proposing this, and they want to, so this would, according to our code, because this is a commercial messaging about the activities that are happening in the business, this would be considered commercial messaging on our code. So you would have to decide if you wanted to move forward, this would need to be permitted as a sign. Or what you could say is, you could say, well, I think this is separate enough from the drummer that the drummer could be the mural and the words are signage. Or you could say, I think that there needs to be no signage too close to the mural because they're too close. Or you could say some component of removing either the hands or additional words provides adequate separation from the commercial text from the mural picture, because they're going to be over, because they have a logo and a sign. So they're going to be over their wall sign. So
I just wanted to go back a second, and I just want to bring clarity to it. I've done quite a lot of layouts for these, and I could say that there's always been a limit pretty much for what you do as the signage on the mural, on the front of the building, right? So it's considered signage. Then the rest becomes a mural. How far have they exceeded the amount of signage that they could have on that front facade?
So what we were looking at, it's the total enclosed building frontage. And what they might do is they might come back, depending on how much depending on what you decide today, the applicant may come back for a variance if they want everything. So they might come back to bring the whole thing in as signage with a sign variance, because they have so much. So that would be a secondary discussion. But what they're asking today is for you to say, basically, like, the drummer dude's a mural and this is a sign, with everything as this is, that this is a component of the sign and this is. Now I'll just, what the criteria is to review the mural is murals can coexist, but if they're included in the mural, the entire mural shall be part of the allowable signage permitted by the code.
Sure.
And
I just don't want to set a bad precedent that all of a sudden we're setting a precedent that's against the code. So why have a code? And I love what Matthews does, and I love your business, and I think, it's a good thing. My only thing is I want to bring clarity to it, because if they need some type of variance, and not to be difficult about it, but it should be seen as that, in the sense that other people don't just say, well, they did it, why didn't we do it? Well, they had to go through a variance and they had to get these approvals, right? So this is where, yeah, and I see what you're trying to do, narrow it down to see what is what's a sign and what's there, but then where do you go with that after?
Well, that's why we're bringing the question to you as the board.
Right,
So if you can't decide if you feel comfortable, so based on what you're saying, if you say, okay, in order for it to be mural, it has to be option 1 or option 2 or some other option.
Reading the code.
Okay, just reading the code that this part is mural. But if they wanted to bring the whole thing and retain everything and come back as signage, then that is a different application type to bring that in as signage. So, but if they want to, so I think the best result to leave with today, so they have flexibility to choose,
Mhm.
is to say, what do you think is a mural? And if they don't like that result, they can come back with an application for a variance if they chose to do that.
And just to let you know, we have another gentleman who's here, right back there, who went through all kinds of stuff with the murals and to see what he could get, what he couldn't get, the size and this, to that. And I just want to make sure that there's a good playing field for everybody to say, this is what we have, right? And it's fair to everybody. So I know Joe went through a lot of things to get things done, and he did them a certain way due to the rules that were in place. So that's what
I mean, I think where we're at here, we're asking for a variance for that to be a mural,
okay.
bottom line.
Well, we can't, it's commercial messaging, so you'd have to come back for a sign. So they would, it's really, because it says you make craft beer and it says craft brewery.
How about if we remove craft brewery and live music venue?
So what we said staff felt that this was the absolute minimum that could be with separation. And we wanted to bring this to the board to see if we felt like at least this is the minimum for the drummer to be the mural, where craft brew meets rock and roll, you would be a sign permit for this part. But that would reduce your signage and it would not include the drummer as part of the sign area at the minimum. That we felt we couldn't live with less separation than that.
That makes sense. So that's why the lightning bolt and the other insignia had to go, because that would blend the drummer
It
in.
brings it into one,
I see what you're saying,
integrated
yeah.
into the mural. So this makes it, so what we were looking at is, because we do, like Chafin has a sign and Chafin has Chafin piano next to the mural, which is to the right. So we do have examples of where we have a sign name adjacent or proximate to the mural, but it's not into an integrated component of the mural. So what we're looking to you is saying, because this is what I told Wes, I said, the board has to be okay with this. I said, this is the most stretch as staff we could even possibly go. For us to feel comfortable that this was separate. But then to Juan's point, we might see more stuff. So if that's okay,
I mean, everybody's gonna come through here, you're gonna have the same thing, the same variation on the code and say, well, we have precedent for this or that. And I love what you guys do. And I think we have to make this work somehow, but I want to make it work in a way that the board isn't bombarded with things that are completely contrary to the code. I mean, that's why we're here, right?
So just personally, based on the Herb Jones, I mean, there was that one was it was a more clear distinction where they had the name on top and then like the, kind of showing what they do in a lake-worthy way. I mean, I'm fine with option 2. If y'all are just trying to look for the board's thoughts. I mean, I think option 2
And I'm okay with
separates.
that as well. I mean,
Sure, same, okay.
we're okay with that.
okay, so when option 2, just so we're all on the same page, option 2, the mural you would be approving would be the beer can drummer, and then where craft meets rock and roll, and the rest of the signage would come back for a sign permit for that total combined sign area. And if they need, so.
That would be the skull and the hand.
No. Just, they would need a sign because they don't have a sign permit for the rest of their signs. So all their sign permits, all their wall sign permits would have to come in for the total sign area. So,
Parts.
what?
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. So basically what we would do is, because we're trying to work with Mr. Matthews to bring him into compliance. He has a few things he's got to tidy up. So we're trying to get through as much stuff as we can. So option 2 would approve the drummer and the 2 murals.
That's fine.
And then this would be
As long
subject
as
to a
it's
sign permit.
importantly Way that we can refer back to the code and say, well, Matthews was approved because of this and this, and they have broken down into the pieces and it's fine.
Mhm.
I would.
Okay, so if you guys are like that option, then what you would need to make a motion to approve with conditions. And then you would need to modify condition number 1. So I'm going to state how condition number 1 would be modified to facilitate option 2. Okay, which would, it would strike condition number 1 and say that basically, the drummer mural, with the text where craft brew meets rock and roll. Or well, why don't we just say in option 2? When do we say? So in option 2, basically,
Presented.
in option 2 as presented, the drummer component would be considered a mural. Shall be considered a mural. We would just strike condition 1 because it talks about that. It would just be in option 2 as presented, the drummer mural the drummer art would be considered a mural.
And all other commercial messaging would have to be removed or permitted.
Yes. That, are we good with that? And it would be option 2, all other commercial messaging should be removed or permitted. And it would be that option 2 configuration.
And the option 2, the wording in option 2 would remain, and that is part of the mural, we're saying.
No, we
That'd
would,
be- That would be.
this would be the sign. So the applicant is asking for this to be part of the mural where craft brew meets rock and roll. So you have to decide, are you good with option 2 as an entire mural? Or we feel still under option 2 where craft beer meets rock and roll is signage.
So we basically need to decide if we want to take it a step further from what staff is comfortable with, which is option 2, and go, oh, okay. All right, I see.
So
It,
was your motion for option 2 as staff recommended? Or were option 2 as the,
Didn't do any motion.
oh, okay. So it would be, so the 2, then if there seems to be consensus for option 2, okay? So the consensus is for,
Just to say, I'm cool with option 2. I'm also potentially okay with going above, including it. I'm just saying option 2 seems like a minimum.
Mhm.
And then they're asking for us to go farther. So just, I'm not super opinionated with it either way, but I'm not like all about, super behind 100% staff against,
So then the other option that we're talking about, different than option 2, would be to approve everything that we see there as a mural where the text is part of it.
Yes.
correct. The issue with the text is whether or not it's commercial messaging, and it does relate to the the premises and the business on the premises. And so that's why staff has considered it commercial messaging, because it's related to business use.
I see what you're saying, but it doesn't say Matthews Brewing Company. And earlier, tonight, when I was speaking about Herb Jones, it said Herb Jones, and then below it, in the bottom of the mural, Herb Jones up in the sky above, above Palm Beach Island.
Mhm.
And then the bottom of the mural, it's the kids on the retaining wall at Bryant Park. To me, this is less commercial than that, where craft beer meets rock and roll. You keep going, Lake Worth Beach. They have Matthews over the door, but that's sectioned off by these gray columns. So, I'm fine with either one, honestly, just to let my fellow board members know that's where I am.
I'm okay with the plus option if you wanted to make a motion.
So you feel, so basically you feel that because we've gotten rid of live music and craft beer, which are things that they sell and offer as a business thing, that this is more of like a fun thing.
It seems like that. I think that's a good way to put it.
And
Yeah.
advertising,
Your meat and meat stock and all could be a dry park.
Mhm.
And it's not listing live music venue, craft beer for sale.
I mean, I understand it's pretty subjective, but to me, that's all part of the art.
Okay. All right. So then that motion, okay, for that discussion would be to strike condition number 1 and to approve option 2, where the entire component is considered the mural because it has removed enough commercial messaging. That it's no longer, it's all art. It's no longer commercial messaging.
What about the hand and the lightning bolt?
But if you're making it clear in your motion that you're selecting option 2, that as presented, that would be in a mural in its entirety with no commercial messaging. And you could state that any commercial messaging that wasn't included in, or, any other depictions or commercial messaging not shown on option 2 need to be removed.
The
But
lightning bolt and the hand are there now. So.
So
there are
And that is
more
no
things that
commercial
have to be
messaging.
removed, but
So.
what you're approving is what you're putting in your motion. You're approving option 2.
Mhm. So if you wanted to do, we could make option 3, which would be, if you want to consider it all, which would remove the words live music venue and craft brewery. And that would take those components as those are commercial messaging. You're identifying those as commercial messaging, and then you're approving the hand, the lightning bolt, and the guy, the drummer dude.
I'd like that.
I'd rather do that. To me, it looks kind of empty without.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the record, option 3 would include the picture of the beer can drummer, the text where craft beer meets rock and roll, the skeleton hand, and the lightning bolt, and would exclude the text live music venue and craft brewery, and that is option 3 as stated. So then to make that motion, you would make the motion to approve with conditions, striking condition number 1 and selecting option number 3 as stated. So it'd be option number 3. Please make that right. Say those, fix it. Option 3. Okay, so just say option 3 is the selected, or say option 3 is the required option for the first mural. Something like that. Okay. Are we rowing the boat together?
All we're doing is deleting the live music. wording.
Yes, Okay. right? That's it.
So it becomes a mural the way that.
Right, but your motion is to approve with condition, striking condition 1 and selecting option 3 as stated on the record. Right? If you wanted to make that motion.
I move. And help me out here. To approve PZB project number 22-00000011 for mural installation for the structure located at 130 South H Street
With conditions,
with conditions,
striking condition 1
striking condition 1
and replacing it with option 3
and replacing it with option 3
for the
For
first mural.
the first mural.
for the first mural, which is just deleting 2
Yes,
word phrasings on the existing mural.
yes.
Got it?
Mhm.
I'll second it. Sounds good.
We call a vote.
Second,
He did. He seconded.
wait a second, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. On H Street.
Okay. So it is 6:50. So, Mr. Chairman, we do not have any planning issues or departmental reports other than to state, don't forget the meeting on the 16th. It will only be 2 items, but they will be robust.
Okay.
We gotta call breaks.
Is it like a coffee shop or something?
No, it is not a coffee shop.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It
Thank
is
you.
6:50.